E39 source, welcome to the video. We have Canon's 2002 E39 M5 here today, and we're doing a bit of a DIY on making the windshield washers work. We're going to be replacing a number of parts in this video, including both of the heated nozzles on the top part of the windshield. Underneath, we're going to be, I don't know if we have to remove it or at least peeling it down, working with the various hoses, wiring, pipes, all of that, running through the little hole in the hood here, some fastening hardware, and then down and eventually back behind the front passenger side fender. That's where the reservoir is, that's where the pumps are. So that's going to be this DIY. And I think we're going to start up here at the hood with replacing the nozzles. So this is the underside of the driver's side nozzle, and his happened to be held in by a zip tie. But looks like the hoses just kind of pull off the little spout there, and then we've got a tab on the top that depresses. So if we slide the hoses off, so you wiggle and you pull hard on the hoses and they come off of the nozzles. The nozzles are also plugged in with a heating element so they don't freeze in the winter, which is kind of a joke because then the lines that aren't heated will just freeze up in there unless you use a de-icer that
intensive clean, that's what that's for. But anyway, you just decompress this clip here, like so many clips on the E39, and it should come off.
Well, they've been on there a while.
They've been on there for a long time, so there we go.
Okay. So now the nozzle's disconnected.
Right.
So,
and then, assuming yours isn't zip tied like mine, if you look on the other side, all you would do is simply depress and just push through the hood, and it will rotate out and just remove it from the car.
We'll be removing it from the outside once it's disconnected.
Yes.
So in addition to the nozzles, these hoses, there's two that go to each side, intensive and regular cleaning fluids. Stupid design, they're both the same crap. So each one of those has two, so there's, I guess they Y off in here somewhere, but then there's this little grommet through the hood, and then a hose, and then all of this stuff's got zip ties on it, so this will be right here in an hour or five. With the nozzles out through the hood, now's a great time to get some spray wax or something and go around there, clean that up. If you notice any paint missing, touch it up with some spray paint, some, I don't know, petroleum jelly, whatever will protect that from rusting. Then we come back under the hood. There's a couple little plastic clips that are holding those lines in. It's actually pretty simple to just pull right out. The part that we're replacing that has the majority of the lines on it, including this grommet here where it goes up into the hood, it's all one part. So it's going to include the power supplies for each nozzle, all the hosiery, everything comes off with it. The one piece of hose, and it looks like it's been repaired before with some sort of little rubber line there, immediately just snapped right off. It's so brittle. It's crumbling and falling apart in my hands. So that is just absolute crap, and that's the piece that's going to go down to the tank. The other piece, the only thing holding this entire thing in the car right now, is right here and goes into the pump that sits atop this washer fluid reservoir. So, pretty easy thing to do. We're just going to wiggle it. I need both hands for it, but it'll just pull right off the pump at that junction right there. The two power supplies that go to the nozzles for heating come down into one line. They follow the rest of the hoses. They come down here, and then there's one connector by your passenger side strut tower that you'll disconnect that from. Once the hose is removed from here, you are going to lose any sort of fluid that you have in here, so be prepared for that. But now we have that entire old loom of hosing and wires out of the car. So we're ready to jack up the car on this side. That jack point, use the front axle, whatever you want to do. Get it up in the air. We're going to pull off this wheel. Be sure to loosen your lugs before raising the car up off the ground. They're 17mm lugs. We're going to have to pull the inner fender liner to get to the tank. We'll show you that in a few minutes. Okay, so we've got the wheel off. We have a cup to put our bolts in so they don't get lost. So now you can tell us what we need to remove.
So I was telling Ryan, just about any bolt you can find almost. Got one here, one down here, one over here, two here. And then you'll have little pop rivets that go in here. You will break them on removal. They're one-time use, so you'll need to buy those. Part number will be in an annotation and then in the description. And then we've got one here, these three here.
Do we really need to remove the lower fender liner? I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't think so, but we will need to remove these to get it out. So
we'll let you know. I don't think we'll need to remove. There's 4, 10, or 12, or Phillips, or what. They're different on every freaking car I work on. down here that hold the lower fender liner into the bumper. Good chance we will not need to remove those.
As I was saying, there's one here, one up here, and I believe that is all. Oh, all right. One right there.
Yeah, okay, well, they'll get the idea. Anything you see that looks like it comes out, take it out. So with the fender liner off, we get a great view of the entire tank and the pumps going into the tank. The tank on the left is, or the pump on the left rather, is the pump that goes to the headlight washers. All the US spec E39 M5s came with the cold weather package, which included these ghastly god-awful headlight washers.
Yeah, they're really stupid.
And whenever they come on, they cover your entire car and the one next to it and the one behind it and everything within a mile.
And Luke.
And just everything gets covered. So the delete for that system is as easy as removing the power supply to that pump. Right there. Cover it up with tape so it doesn't get corroded in case you ever want to use it again. Then just zip tie it or press it out of the way somewhere. The smaller pump there is the one that you want in order for the windshield washers to work. So right now this tank is full of water. We're going to take the time to drain it. Over on the right it looks like there's some sort of a level sensor or whatever that is. We're just going to unplug that, let all the fluid run out. It appears that we're also going to be replacing...
This is the line that we're replacing.
This line right here. And if that is the case, and it is the case, it comes out right here, we're probably going to have to pull the cabin air filter box on the passenger side. It's really easy to do. I'll show you how to do that in a minute to be able to get access to that a little bit better. But we're going to drain that tank and then we'll let you know how to pull that air box. So the line we're replacing right now is the main feed that is coming down from the tank and then coming up right there by the strut tower. The part number on this part is 6166836141. That's just a couple feet piece of pipe. We were unsuccessful in trying to just poke it down there in hopes that it would slide out, so we are going to remove the upper air box trim here, or the cabin air filter box trim. First thing that comes off is this piece of trim. It's real easy, it just pops right off. Then we're going to loosen up our door, take the door off the air box trim, take the filter off. Beautiful. And we've got this ductwork here going into the firewall. On top there's just 3 clips. That will loosen up that clip, or that part. There should be a metal clip right here. You just squeeze these ends together, pull it out, put it in a dry safe location. And then from here we just lift up and out from the bottom right corner and it comes off in our hands. With that off, do we get anywhere with that? The light's right in my face, I can't tell. We're gonna play for a little bit, I'll let you know how we get. Okay, so with that trim out of the way, it was a little bit easier to see what we were doing. This has been the most difficult part so far, but it's not too bad, you just need 2 people. So you leave the hook end of that piece of pipe that I just gave you the part number of right here. The other end slides down in there and there's a hole. But in the hole there's a grommet. Do we have the grommet?
Yeah, it's now back on the other side of the hole. There it is. Okay. So if you remove that, you will gain extra space. It'll be a lot easier to pull this end down, take a pair of needle nose pliers once you get it lined up. It's easiest with 2 people, obviously. Grab it here and just pull it through gently. Then it will come down to here. And
other pump.
Yep. So, no, that's the right pump. And then
small pump, yeah.
The small pump, correct. And then you just push it on. Make sure it lines up in this groove here. Twist that pump back in the direction it's supposed to be, and
there it is.
That's all. Nice. That's all she wrote.
This will be working in a half hour. So that's the main feed pipe from the pump up to the junction right here. Then we're going to plug it in the junction, put some clips, some different hardware in there, and run it to the new washers. All right, guys, we're about done. The harder part actually was something that we didn't think it would be, and that was feeding the primary harness, the primary loom of the tubing and electrical wiring. There's a plastic clip here, there's a plastic clip here, then there's the grommet where it goes up inside the hood. And then from there, it runs to the first washer jet right there. And then the harder part was the second washer jet, which goes back behind the hood, and the 2 lines come out right there. Feeding it through there, getting everything to line up, that was probably the worst part. But it's done and it works. Then you gotta feed that back up there. On this side, really it was easy. We just ran that straight line back down to this pump, back down to that reservoir. You just kind of run it underneath the trim here. We put this back together. It was not totally necessary to remove that if you were lucky enough to be able to feel around down there and find the hole to get it down into the wheel liner. And then over here, really we just had it come straight out of the fender and then down and snaps in and plugs into the pump, and then we filled it up and it's good to go. So up here, if you reach around, there's this hose that just dead ends. Don't plug that up. That is the hose that lets the air out of the tank when you fill it up with fluid. We had put a screw in there because it kept leaking, and found out that's not the problem. So we're done. It seems to work. These things are easy. They just snap right in. You kind of got to hold them as you pressure fit the hoses on the bottom side of them, though. They're pretty strong, so you've got to hold it and push tight. But now we're done. What do you think, Kenan? What's next? New engine? No, that's me.
Someone already doing that. Wouldn't be original.
Yeah, so we don't have to give them a demo, right? But it works now. So we're going to put the fender liner back in, put the wheel back on, put the 5 wheel lugs, the 17 mils, down to 89.5 pound-feet, and we're done.